Hello, fourth grade writers. Welcome back. I hope you're ready for the next section here. We left off with this cool country report, and I was asking you to fill this out of your country of choice. And a couple questions came up, and one I wanted to just start off with is this part right here. Now, this says greetings from, and so this would be like a postcard. I don't know if you ever received a postcard in the mail, but postcards is a way of communication that we've done for, decades and decades. And it's just basically, sometimes there's a picture on one side and then a little note, and it could be from a landmark. So if we were going to send a postcard from Seattle, it might be from Pike Place Market, it might be from the Space Needle, or if it was from somewhere else in Washington, like Mount Rainier, then you would just talk about in a real short note. And so that's all that is, okay? So hopefully you're getting these filled out. Today we're gonna talk a little bit more about your writing, your pre-writing, and I'm gonna give you some samples of my writing about Australia. So here we go. I wanted to remind you first, though, of our mentor text. I really like this book about Kenya. And as I mentioned before, a big part of it is because of the table of contents. I like how it's listed pretty much all of the chapter titles as questions. This is something you can do. Now, you'll probably only be writing about 3 chapters unless you're really ambitious and want to do more. But as you notice, each question or each chapter starts with a question. I decided to choose that format for my own. But as we just page through, you can just kind of see, like here's a chapter about the types of government. They're real short chapters. And here we see a fun fact, photographs, captions. So these are things I just want you to continue to keep in mind as you start to draft and compose your own country report. One of the other mentor texts that we've been looking at, other than Kenya, is Australia. And this is done in a little bit different format if you remember. The table of contents happens to be just titles of topics, or subtopics, I should say. The topic's Australia here, which is what I also wrote about, and I will share with you momentarily. But as you look through, you can see that, again, the text is just basic facts. This one is less, I would say less interesting, because it's a lot of facts. That's why I'm hoping that you guys will dress yours up a little bit with interesting language by putting it in your own words, because if you don't put it in your own words, it gets very dry, and then you lose the interest of your reader, which is not something we want. I mean, we're hoping that our readers will stay with the text, not just learning the facts about your country of choice, but also having a real strong desire to maybe want to learn more, creating that curiosity. We interrupt this regularly scheduled program to bring you this message. The secret word for this video comes from a visit to Italy, and the secret word is found on this page. The page reads, "Many delicious foods come from Italy. Pizzas first come from Naples, but now most towns have a pizzeria. You can watch the pizzas being made there." So a pizzeria. The secret word is pizzeria. So let's suppose I finished my cool country report, and I have all my notes written out for the areas that I'm interested in writing my own paragraph with the notes from all the resources, from all the places that I found. And so as promised, I would like to read to you kind of my first chapter. My chapter title is "What Unique Animals Live in Australia?" If you want to see unusual and unique animals, just go to Australia. Many of the animals there are different from animals you would find in Seattle or anywhere else in the world. Australia is an island and so very huge, So the animals evolved separately from the animals in other parts of the world. One type of animal found in Australia is the marsupial. Most female marsupials have pouches to carry their babies in. Think of it like a built-in backpack. I think that would be quite convenient. A kangaroo is a marsupial, and so is a wombat. And you'll remember that word wombat from an earlier video. What is a wombat? Well, it looks like a small bear, although some people think it looks more like a pig. A wombat likes to burrow in the ground. That means to dig. In fact, it's the largest burrowing animal in the world. That could also fit under a fun fact, couldn't it? Chapter 2, my second chapter is about native Australians. And so I entitled it, What Do We Know About the Native Australians? The two native groups in Australia are Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders. Today, only 2 out of every 100 people are native. But before 1788, when the first Europeans arrived, all Australians were natives. Native Australians have a history of taking excellent care of the land. For example, they used only the plants and animals that they needed. Also, they were careful not to waste anything. In other words, they did not create much trash. Anyone who cares about the environment can learn a lot by studying native Australians. And I see where I need to put an S next to the word care because I picked up on it when I reread. Always important to reread. Okay, so after I did my 2 chapters, they weren't very long. Yours don't have to be very long. Should be a few sentences. I decided I needed to write an introduction. Now, my introduction is a little bit longer because it introduces the book. It's also the hook where I want to keep my readers interested. So let me read through that really quickly. So here's my introduction. Have you ever traveled to Australia? If so, you are lucky as can be. If not, I hope that by reading this report, you'll feel almost as if you've been there. It's the land down under, after all. Don't believe me? Check out a map. In this report, you will read about the unique animals of Australia, including ones you are familiar with, like kangaroos, and ones that you might be new to you, like wombats. You will find out about the native people of Australia and their powerful connection to the land. You will learn about Australian schools, including the School of the Air. Finally, you will find out what the most popular Australian sports are. So you can see I already have given the reader a clue that there's 2 additional chapters. So those I would write later. So buckle your seatbelt, grab some snacks, and get ready to travel to the land down under, mate. I hope this trip will make you eager to keep learning about Australia. Perhaps one day you will take an actual trip to this amazing country. All right, so now you're set to go off on your own and to work on this. I hope to get an early start on it. So here's a page that I want to share with you about what to do this week. So first of all, if you haven't done so already, finish filling out your Cool Country Report planning sheet. Think about your chapters, vocabulary, any fun facts, all of that can be written at the top of the page. Put interesting information as notes on the back of your giant paper. This is your pre-writing work. You may want to watch video 5 again if you don't remember how to get to the resources that Ms. Burwell gave us. Okay? Next, you're going to draft your chapters. I think that's far easier to think about the parts that are interesting to you that you want to share. Remember, something you're curious about is also something your readers might be curious about. Remember not to copy the text directly from your sources. We're not just writing somebody else's work down. That's why I prefer that you write it in notes. Put it in your own words and make it inviting and interesting. Yes, you are trying to hook the reader so that they will keep reading. Try to do 2 or 3 chapters this week. After you've done that, you could start on the introduction. Write an introduction. You can replay the video portion to get an idea of how I did mine. So if you want to read it again and see what I did and get ideas, that's perfectly fine. Try to come up with something of your own so that readers will keep reading. Remember, you're teaching them about your country. So have fun with it. Next week, we'll add fun facts and other text features. So that's all for this week, guys. Like I said, have fun with it. And this is Mr. Leonard signing off. Take care. Don't forget about this, letting me know about the secret words.